Okay, so I've decided I'm just going to do a little nose on this bear. I don't think I could definitely make them eyes smaller soon. So I've threaded my needle with some of the perle cotton in this nice brown colour, and I've pushed the needle in. Let's move that out of the way. Right under his chin there, and so it's going to come out on the actual seam there. So bring that out, bring that through. Leave a tail down the bottom there. So now I'm going to go round there, and back. Make sure that that actually looks okay. Which I think, if you can see, that looks pretty much in the middle of those seams. So I'm going to go back with that now, and where I'm taking that first pin out, I'm going to go in there with the needle and take this, the other pin out, and come back out there, take that across, like so. I'm going to bring that back down to the middle, back up. Oops, I see got some mohair caught in there. I'm going to bring that back out again where that one is, which is fiddly, but there we go. Got that one. Bring that down. So keeping that nice and level, and then I'm going to take that back across there yet again and come back out there, back out at the bottom, like so. Okay, let's check this out a bit. There we go. That way. And as you can see, that is pretty much, it's not exactly right. We'll have to just alter it a little bit, but that gives me now the area that I'm going to actually sew the nose on. So now I've come out at the bottom in the middle. What I need to do now will be to make sure that that goes straight up to the top there, like so. So I need to get that needle as straight as I can up there. I'm going in just above where I've made the line of the cotton, and then back out as close as I possibly can to where the thread already is. Pull that through. With this, you need to keep a slight tension, but not too much. And I think you need to just try and keep as much of a tension. See, I've got a bit of a gap there now, just a tiny one. So instead of going over there, I'm going to go straight up where that thread needs to go. I'm going to go into that space there. I'm going to try and come back out in between the two of them there. So make sure that one's nice and taut. Pull that through there. Pull that through, and then now that will go up in between those two, which is there, and then I'll come back out again as close to, and just the other side of that thread there, like so, and again put that up there to see where it's got to go, which I know is there, just the other side of the pearl that I've marked. Some of this can be a bit awkward because you've got your seam in there as well, and it just makes it a bit harder sometimes to get the needle to go in and through. Just need to get that as near to as I can, and again put that through. Over you go, like so. As you can see, we're getting halfway across, and again up there, check where it goes. This one is quite literally going to the edge of that nose. So now I'm going to go in there, but I'm going to come back out right over this side here, as close to, which is going to be hard to get through there now because that is my seam allowance, but as close to there as I possibly can. Pull that through. Can be a bit tough. And just check the tension on that nose. Everything looks fine so far. So this next stitch, I've got a little gap there that I'm going to have to sort out eventually. But this next stitch will need to go up there like so. Is it a gap or is it just the colour of the thread? I think it's just the colour of the thread there. This needs to go straight up there now, right next to that one there, which is this is quite time consuming. I mean, this small one's quite time consuming. When you're doing a bigger nose, it does take a bit longer. And sometimes then you can use a piece of felt or another form underneath it so that you've got something to work against rather than especially if you've got like a black nose on a very light colour. Right, now I've got to find the way through this bit, which is really tough because I am actually going through the seam allowance fabric on the back. I think that looks about right. I'll try that. It's always one thing with this, with it only being how it is and the single thread through the needle. If you do think one of them's particularly wrong, all you've got to do is take it off the needle and, oops, I'm shaking the table, and pull it back out again and just redo it. So that looks okay. And again, back up this side. In right next to that. there, and again we need to come back out right next to that one there. I won't put my hand on the table this time. Shake the camera about. Okay. So far so good. Now back in there next to that one. Let's move that thread out of the way so I can see what I'm doing. And carefully, you just come out of there. Yep, put you back in. This one's a bit tricky because it's a bit of a smaller space again. Just be careful when you're doing this and you're finding where that bit is that you need to come through, that you don't go and stick in your fingers. Done that before now as well. And I'm sure anybody else who's sewn teddy bear noses will say the same. Okay, so far so good. I think we've just got this last one to do to make it nice and even. So this time I'm going to go right very close to there. And I'm also going to come out further down on this seam. I think probably about there. Maybe a little bit over more to this left hand side. Like so. Try that. There we go. There. So, my little bear has a nice little nose. So now I've come out below the nose there. I'm going to go back in this bit here. But before I do any more, I'm going to get my pins again now. And I'm going to put one there. And one to match on the other side. And these don't have to be perfect, because this is where we're going to put his mouth. Put the pins in at the same sort of angle. I've got a bit of a shadow going on here, which doesn't really help very much. But there we go. So we can just see actually by just putting that around there and back around there, if that looks even, which it doesn't actually. So we'll put that down here like so. Have another look. Just going to take that out of there a minute. It's not too bad. So where do we want it to go? Probably down there maybe. Okay, so we'll leave them there and then now. I'm not going to, whoopsie daisy. I'm going to go back into this nose now. There. And I'm going to come out where that pin is. Or thereabouts. Just have to be like rocket science, but there we go. Take that pin out. Pull that through. Like so. Good to go. Underneath that little bit there. And then I'm going to go back in where that pin is. I can remember that was. Just pull that across to be sure. It's a bit high up, but that'll be a bit lower down there. I think that's about right. I would say so. I'm going to go back up through that tiny corner of that nose from the mouth. Let's have a look what we've got. Well then. There we go. It's fractionally wonky, but I'm happy with that. And then I'm going to go just on this very edge of this nose. I'm going to go back in there and come out. And that other side, hopefully. Pull that through there. And another little stitch on this side. Like so. I'm going to go through the back of the nose there. Okay. Now I'm going to go through the back of the nose just to try and catch some of the stitches, but underneath without being able to see the thread, because this makes the thread rather tight, so it should help to finish off where these threads come out. And then I'm going to push this back through and back out, hopefully. Back out where I went in the first place. Just make sure that all looks okay. Yeah, happy enough with that. It's not perfect, but I don't think I've ever done a complete perfect nose yet. But I'm happy with that. That's fine. That gives them a bit of character, I think. There we go. So now I just need to cut these two pieces off down here. I'm going to pull them reasonably tight while I cut them. Not too tight because of pulling the tension on the nose, but just so that when I do cut them right next to the fabric, that they just disappear in there. I just don't want to cut them over as well. So, oops-a-daisy, my scissors are magnetic. Let's do that one first. This one. And the second one. There we go. A bit of a squidge this way and that way. And there it is. It's gone. There thereabouts anyway. It will do by the time I've done a bit more to the head and everything. It's vanished into the sea. So, nose and mouth done. You can see I went a little bit. What's it there? Never mind. There we go. Yeah, nose and mouth done for now. So the next job's going to be the eyes. And I'm definitely not going to use these big eyes like this. I'm not quite sure. I haven't got any smaller positioning eyes like these, so I'm going to have to. Got these are 6mm. I can probably just, oh, the pins are quite good on them. I could probably push one in to have a look what they look like, because I should have a hole, I would think, now from where these have been. Which I do. Where's my awl? There it is. There. Let's get that. Sorry. There. That's a hole. There. That's for one. I'm just going to try that in there. Should go. Still not sure about that size. I've got some 5mm. Let's get one of these out and try that too. I do tend to go for smaller eyes rather than big ones when I make my teddy bears. So let's have a look with this one. Just get these pliers and just squash that wire just a little, but leave it enough so I can get the needle through. But just so I can have a look on the thread, should I say? Just so I can have a look what it looks like in his eye compared to the 6mm. So we'll take that one out. And we'll try this one in. No, that's much better, I think. That size eye is going to fit into this bear a lot better. I mean, it'll look better when it's all pushed in, but yep, I think that's the one I'm going to go with. Nice 5mm. Okay, so next job's going to be getting these eyes ready to put in. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you'll join me next time.